The longer these tariffs remain, right, on China, the more people, specifically the people who work in the factories and manufacturers, and they work for the exporters and do the things like, I don't know, origin laundering. All of these individuals that basically live off of that specific economy, they're in fact not going to be able to work the next day, right? I mean, they're going to stop. They're going to start losing their jobs. That's the reality of the situation, and you are in fact under a communist regime, guys, right? So what happens when the people that have basically put you in power specifically to run the government, to make sure that people consistently had jobs and food and upward mobility, let's say, what happens when that person specifically is going back and forth with the individual that you export 80-90% of your products to, right? Imagine for a second here, guys. Right? So with that being said, of course, there's problems in Beijing. Yes? Beijing is basically our Washington D.C. for the most part. It is. It's basically that. Right? Um, so I can't imagine how Xi Jinping specifically is going to be able to maintain his position if things don't change. Right? I mean, I can't imagine us dropping tariffs in any meaningful manner. I mean, yeah, we can speak about it. I think Trump was recently actually speaking about it, but I honestly, truthfully imagine that happening without like massive, massive concessions, right? All right, we definitely need to work on intellectual property theft. We definitely need to get a good amount of China's companies and manufacturers, etc., out of our stock market, specifically if they consistently manipulate their currency. Okay, there are a lot of issues here, guys. Okay, so I can only imagine that whatever we're about to encounter, in fact, is going to be absolutely intriguing and probably not new news. But let's go ahead and jump into this immediately. This is a suggestion via Discord. Let's check it out.
Institute senior fellow and author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America, Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I know you've got a new op-ed out saying that China has folded in the trade war. Tell us more.
Yeah, the important thing here is that China, without any announcements, is not collecting tariffs on important goods. So, for instance, some semiconductors, aviation products, industrial chemicals, medical devices, some medicines. And also, they're going to expand that list because there are lists circulating in China of 131 items that China may not impose tariffs. So this is going to expand. It means that China is made an important concession, but it's not saying it's making a concession, which is a fascinating insight into the Chinese political system right now, which has become both intransigent and inflexible.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting because the president has said now is the time to hit China with these tariffs, given that economy is in a weakened position. How would you assess the Chinese economy right now, and what is the impact of a 145% tariff on Chinese goods coming into the U.S., Gordon?
Yeah, it's not growing at the 5.4% pace that they reported for Q1. It's probably contracting, as we can see from the price data from both February and March, which signals that China's in a deflationary spiral. We are seeing underlying indicators that point to contraction, including tax receipts that were down 3.5% for the quarter. That's inconsistent with robust growth. And if China is not contracting now, somehow, it will be contracting very soon. So when you talk about 145% general tariff on Chinese goods, this really means that many factories aren't going to be selling anything to the U.S., which explains why some factories have already closed and other factories are cutting down their shifts.
Meanwhile, the Philippines is denying reports that China seized control of that disputed reef in the South China Sea, Gordon, and then they unfurled their flag on the island. Now, both countries' flags are flying on the reef. China's Coast Guard is accusing the Filipino personnel of illegally boarding the reef, even as both countries claim control over it. So how are they denying it if, in fact, they unfurled the flag? I spoke with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz yesterday, and I asked him about it, and I asked him how the U.S. is going to respond to China's aggression. Watch this.
Guys,
When I'm looking at this from a national security standpoint, we have to bring our supply chains
This
home.
guy,
We saw
yeah.
even cheap items like masks, gowns, and gloves, if they're made abroad and not made here, become a national security issue. We have to have clean supply chains for our military equipment. That is a key element. Rebuilding our military under Pete Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, focused on meritocracy and lethality, is a key element. And then, of course, working with our allies, and it's no accident that President Trump had Prime Minister Modi of India, had Prime Minister Ishiba of Japan, and made calls to the Prime Minister of Australia and South Korea.
Yeah.
All of those pieces are key elements of our competition with China.
Gordon, your reaction?
This is really important because at a time when China needs friends, because it's not selling goods to the U.S., it is going out of its way to antagonize not just the Philippines, not just Taiwan, but also South Korea and Australia. This shows that China is going, this is end of regime
losing it.
conduct.
Yeah.
Because, Xi Jinping, he can't appear to be giving in to the U.S.
No, he cannot be seen as weak under any circumstance. This is why, if you look at some of his basic, his demands, let's say, every single thing is oriented to respect, basically to kowtow for the most part to specifically the Chinese regime, let's say, guys. Right? It's not going to happen in a way that he thinks it's going to happen, guys. It cannot. It cannot. Like he basically wants Trump to specifically look weak to him in public so he can feel better and maintain his position in Beijing.
He has configured the Chinese political system so that it is hostile. And also, because he's been making the claim that China has surpassed the U.S., he can't look dependent on trade with the U.S., and he certainly can't look like he's talking to the U.S. under pressure. So when you have the Chinese lashing out at the Philippines at Sandy Key, as you just showed, this is really very perplexing behavior, and it shows that something is very, very wrong in Beijing right now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Meanwhile, China's Huawei is preparing to test a new and what they claim to be more powerful AI processing chip. They are hoping it's going to surpass NVIDIA and the H100 chip. Gordon, what do you think?
Well, this is Send 910D, which is you're referring to. And, they're going to roll it out in May for testing. And they say it's more powerful than NVIDIA's H100. But
Okay.
let's remember, the H100, it was released 2 years ago.
Right. It's ancient.
So, yes, they're making
tech
progress. But let's not be terribly weak in the kneed about this, because China is still behind the U.S. And the U.S. has not really imposed sanctions meaningfully. Yes, we have sanctions, but we've rolled them out in a way so that China can get around them. We don't enforce them with the vigor that is absolutely necessary.
Guys, and we consistently deliver semiconductors to their doorsteps, guys. Right. So I'm not really sure that that's going to compete massively in a massive manner, specifically right now with NVIDIA. But eventually, I do think that China will, in fact, surpass the United States of America in terms of AI. Right now, the race is not an arms race, it's not a space race, it's an AI race. And we definitely need to win that race. I'm just going to be honest here, guys. And don't forget the sleeping dog, let's say, referring to India, not calling India an animal. You get what I'm saying here, guys? Like, don't forget them, because for some reason, in all of these conversations, we never bring up how fast India is, in fact, coming up, bro. All right? Think about this here. You see India specifically, Modi specifically, shaking hands, happy, cheery, let's say, with Xi Jinping. Then in the same breath, the same thing with Trump. Understand, India is very interesting right now, guys. I mean, it's definitely a country to follow, specifically if you do enjoy the economics and the overall emerging nations type of thing, guys. It's very intriguing. The stories are great here, but right now they're basically focusing, I'd say, about 80% of their might, let's say, towards Pakistan, though. But once they decide that they're done with that, I'm expecting massively India to flourish. Seriously, I think they're going to do great.
And our sanctions are not as comprehensive as they should be. So let's get serious about sanctions. And I think we'll put even more distance between us and China in the near future.
All right,
Okay.
Gordon, we'll be watching your...
Oh, that was it. Guys, listen, I'm sorry. I talk too much. I know it. I see the comments. Stop talking. Bro, No, no, you came here. Now you're mine. Trapped you. But either way, yeah, I definitely see like a lot of like great things coming out of India. Like amazing things coming out of India. I think India is, bro. Give India like 20 years. Give India give India 20 years, and they're going to be um, easily competing. Okay, they have no issues with population. We do. Oh yeah, like this upcoming generation, they don't like each other. Like the boys and the girls, they don't like each other. Nope, they don't. They don't. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's our. I don't know, bro. Never mind. But we. I don't know what it is. Right? Other countries have it better in terms of the interpersonal relationships between men and women. Let's say, guys, right? But um, there's a problem with our growth potential. Let's say. But overall, guys, I do expect China to come to the table eventually. They're going to have to. Um, like I have no idea how they're going to explain that to the population because again, they can't look like they're just taking the deal, but in fact, they're going to have to take that deal, guys. They're going to have to. And to be honest, there are going to be repercussions. All right, that's the vibe I'm getting here because if we were to go back historically to WW2, one of the root causes specifically of that kerfuffle, let's say, were tariffs being levied, thrown upon, a couple of foreign nations, let's say, right? Um, but either way, and as of right now, I don't think that there's like a gigantic cause that the world needs to get involved with. You get what I mean? Also, neither at the same time. But all right, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.